Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Game SO. We're going to continue the series on the Time Crisis franchise, reviewing every single game as a retrospective. And if you can't tell already, we're definitely not playing a Time Crisis game today. We are playing Deadstorm Pirates. But this is basically what happens when the developers that make Time Crisis go and make a House of the Dead style arcade horror light gun game, except they go with horrors of the deep, a la the Ocean Hunter from Sega. This is basically Time Crisis with a different name and a different theme, and it is just a bonus episode to the retrospective. Before you get too far involved though, do me a huge favor, go down below, hit like and subscribe, and ring that notification bell. Definitely helps us out. And if you feel so inclined and want to support the channel, I got a Patreon link down below as well. Now, if you've never seen a Deadstorm Pirates cabinet in arcades, it's absolutely epically huge, and it has a gigantic wheel right in the middle. So it's not just a light gun arcade game, it also has some QTE steering events, as well as some areas in which you're going to actually navigate your own pirate ship through obstacles. So it kind of has a little bit of an extra component on top, which is definitely always welcome. But like any good light gun arcade game, the shooting is the core mechanic here, and just like Time Crisis is absolutely sound. But unlike Time Crisis, you're not going to be ducking under cover to reload your weapon. Your gun is just auto fire. You hold down the trigger, it's a spray and pray affair. You'll see here I got a power up giving me basically 4 shots at once. But what I love about Deadstorm Pirates is it's even bigger of a spectacle than a lot of the Time Crisis games from the era, and it is a breath of fresh air to get the same team that works on Time Crisis to go into a different genre as far as subject matter is concerned. Pirate ships, skeleton pirates, you have the Kraken in here, all of these different death looking dudes holding these scythes and coming at you. It just 100% works. This is what you want out of an arcade light gun game. You just want over the top spectacle, and Deadstorm Pirates delivers that every single minute of gameplay. And again, if you'd played a lot of Time Crisis games and you saw a new light gun game from Namco in arcades, you would be 100% ready to go. And I remember the first time I saw this arcade cabinet probably 10 or so years ago in Chicago, maybe closer to 15. Time goes that fast. My wife and I sat down, we played it together as a 2-player experience, finished the game, and had an absolutely awesome time. And there is an additional mechanic in this game. If you are playing a 2-player game, if you get your reticle over top one another, you actually get a more powerful charge shot. So definitely think about bringing a second player into the mix. But I love that Deadstorm Pirates is always changing itself up. 1 minute you're mowing down 20 skeletons at once, the next minute you're on a cannon trying to sink these pirate ships before they attack you. This game basically never lets up except for one level that slows itself down a little bit in a very fun manner, and that's why I've always loved this game. Namco, I think, is very close to Sega as far as light gun arcade game output is concerned, but they always really stuck to the Time Crisis franchise, so getting a different game but still being a light gun game was a lot of fun, and I absolutely love this here. Now, I am playing this on PlayStation 3. It is a very easy game to find, but I am using RPCS 3 for this, just for the ease of capture, because still dealing with PlayStation 3 footage into my capture card with a splitter, sometimes I completely lose the signal to HDCP still. But honestly, that doesn't really matter because emulation is great. You can use whatever controller you want, you'll be good to go. And I just love how many different areas that Deadstorm Pirates takes you through. You start on the open sea, then you can navigate to 3 different levels of your choosing in the order in which you want to play them until you get to the final level. And I do appreciate when light gun games kind of give you that ability to traverse your own path. And you're going to see so many different types of enemies, like these ghost swords right here. You have to strike them and try to hit the eye in the middle, so there is a lot of challenge involved. You'll see there I finally caught it. There's different waves of enemies. Sometimes you're going to be shooting 20 things at once, and sometimes you're going to be trying to hit a single target. Kind of has a little bit of Silent Scope vibe without the vibe where that perfect shot's going to make the difference between taking damage or moving on with the game. And as far as light gun games are concerned, I do love that versatility to be able to do multiple different things at once. But of course it is a light gun game, especially a horror theme, so you're going to have these swarm enemies. In this instance, bats feels very much like House of the Dead coming towards you, and you really need to navigate that icon around the screen and try to mow them all down. Again, going to be much easier as a 2-player game. But the game also has an amazing soundtrack. Go ahead and listen for 45 seconds and I'll come back and show you a lot more of the gameplay.
To your right! Oh, you can do it! You've got to aim sharp! Impossible! How many of them are there? bottles! Shoot the bottles! Please me! Destructive power beyond compare! Eat him?
Awesome music, but sometimes in emulation you do get a repeating sound effect on that gunshot. So if anyone knows of an actual splitter for the PlayStation 3 and HDMI that removes that HDCP consistently, do leave me a comment down below, because I've tried 3 now with limited success. Sometimes it works a little bit and then stops, other times it just doesn't work whatsoever. But you'll see here on this QuickTime event, you do need to turn the wheel left and right very quickly to be able to miss the snake. And that is fun in the arcade when you have a gigantic plastic pirate wheel in your hands. Obviously on PlayStation 3, it's something that you're going to be doing more with an analog stick, so you lose a little bit of the effect, but the overall gameplay aspect still works. And I particularly love this goat-headed wraith here, just flying around with his scythe in his hand. All of the enemy designs in this game are so fun to look at, and honestly, compared to Time Crisis, they may be the more inventive, more colorful, and more charming characters. But leave me a comment down below and you tell me what you think. And you'll see here again in a different level, we have to fight the Kraken while also shooting all of these boats down, while also actually shooting the cannonballs as they come towards us. And then basically we get boarded by a raiding party filled with pirate skeletons. A little bit of Army of Darkness vibes going on here as well, and if you can ever compare a game to that movie, you know you're doing a good job. And that's the fun part about this game. Time Crisis has a lot of enemies, and I do love that, but they never really rush you. This basically feels like the armies of the undead are just trying to kill you at every step of the way, and you need to mow them down even though you're at a big statistical disadvantage because you're one player against all of the hordes of the undead. But that's what's so much fun about this game. When you're playing it well, you basically feel invincible, and there's so many fun gigantic set pieces. And you'll see in some instances, especially in the pirate ship level, you're going to have these kegs of TNT or gunpowder in the background. If you blow them off strategically, you're going to be able to clear the entire screen without actually having to fight any of the enemies. And this is where the wheel mechanic really comes into effect. You'll see here we have to avoid both the Kraken as well as all the ships he's destroyed at the same time. So you need to really crank this wheel really hard left and right really fast, or else you're going to take damage on the ships. I hit one but basically made its way through otherwise pretty much unscathed. And this is nice for a light gun game. It does give you a break in the shooting action, although it's definitely going to make your arms tired because you need to spin the analog stick or the wheel on the arcade cabinet a ton of times if you're actually going to be able to be successful for it. And after that, who wouldn't want a gigantic boss battle with the Kraken? And that's why this game, in some instances, gives me big Ocean Hunter vibes on Sega on the Model 3 arcade board. It's another awesome game if you've never played it. This just feels like a more modern version of that, but also like Let's Go Jungle and Let's Go Island, also from Sega, because aquatic-themed gigantic monsters are all the rage when it comes to light gun games, along with army dudes and zombies. It's basically the holy trinity of light gun characters that you need to shoot. And you'll see here we got one last round with the Kraken. Gotta hit 3 different cannonballs into his gaping maw, and we'll be able to move on to the next area. But again, this game is just over the top, and that's what you want out of an arcade game. You just want constant action, constant set pieces, and being surprised and impressed by the next thing coming along. And the best part is you can pick this game up, a PlayStation move set, as well as the camera for still relatively cheap, and it works obviously on a light gun setup for your television or in emulation. So there's so many different ways you can enjoy this game, and it's something that I think every PlayStation 3 collector should have in their library. Now moving on to the next stage in the game, we're taking basically a boat ride all the way down the river. Almost feels like an amusement ride you would see at Disney World or another amusement park like Six Flags. And that really works in the context of the cabinet when you're sitting in a plastic ship and actually cranking the wheel left and right. It really does sell that. Of course, you're not going to get that same illusion at home, but it's still going to be a fun level. And now, as opposed to the hordes of bats, we have hordes of piranhas trying to fly right at your face and basically take a big chunk out of you. It's hard, it's difficult, but it's still fun. And again, if you bring a second player, you're going to have a lot better chance of actually surviving, because one person can deal with the left hand side of the screen and one person can deal with the right hand side. But however you play this game, you just have to play it. Leave me a comment down below and tell me, have you ever heard of this game before, or is it new to you? Because I know pretty much everyone has played Time Crisis, at least one entry in the franchise, but as far as Deadstorm Pirates is concerned, it's not a game I hear about very often, and that definitely bums me out, because it's basically Time Crisis in a different thematic genre, and you really can't go wrong with that. But sure, that we'll have more Time Crisis episodes coming up in these series, and I might have one more bonus out there for you, you never know. But go play this game, shoot some crabs, be careful not to get pinched, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.